Our top story on the broadcast, the new Love Jihad ordinance brought out by the Madhya Pradesh government. The Madhya Pradesh government says its law or its ordinance to prevent conversion and forced marriages by misleading women is even more stringent than that of Uttar Pradesh. Shivraj Singh Chouhan government says it will no longer permit the deceit and the willful deception that goes on in the name of love, deceit, and of course forced marriages and conversion. The Uttar Pradesh government, its ordinance has already been challenged in the Allahabad High Court. The opposition is crying foul. The opposition says not only is the ordinance bad in law, it's a violation of the constitution and it's a very systematic plan to create a divide between Hindus and Muslims and to vilify Muslim men.
After Uttar Pradesh, the BJP government in Madhya Pradesh has decided to crack the whip on alleged love jihad, with the Shivraj Singh Chouhan cabinet approving the Freedom to Religion Ordinance 2020. The ordinance, according to the state government, aims to curb religious conversion using allurement, misrepresentation, force, threat, undue influence, coercion and marriage.
लालच, भय, प्रलोभन, पहचान छुपाकर विवाह करना, इसके लिए इस तरह के मामलों में, धर्मांतरण के मामलों में भी कड़ी सजा का प्रावधान हमने किया। छोटी छोटी नाबालिग बेटियां हमने पिछले दिनों ही कहीं सिकंदराबाद से लेके वापस आए, कहीं नूरगंज से वापस लेके आए। अब इस तरह की चीजें, ये बेटी बचाओ अभियान का हमारा अंग ये नहीं चलेगा।
The penalty for misrepresentation for marriage and conversion in MP is more stringent than the ordinance of Uttar Pradesh. In Madhya Pradesh, there is a provision of jail for 3 to 10 years and a fine of 50,000. While in Uttar Pradesh, the punishment is jail for 1 to 3 years and a fine of rupees 15,000.
कलावा बांध के टीका लगा के और इस तरह से हमारी बहू बेटियों को छल देते हैं, भ्रम पैदा करते हैं, भय पैदा करते हैं, लालच देते हैं, प्रलोभन देते हैं और इस तरह के अनेक मामले हैं जो बाद में उन्होंने फिर अपने असली रूप में आए, और तो इसी के लिए तो कानून ला रहे हैं।
Earlier, UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath government said they had decided to crack the whip on what they called was love jihad.
छद्मवेश में चोरी छिपे, नाम छुपा करके, स्वरूप छुपा करके जो लोग बहन बेटियों की इज्जत के साथ खिलवाड़ करते हैं, उनको पहले से मेरी चेतावनी, अगर वे सुधरे नहीं तो राम नाम सत्य है की यात्रा अब निकलने वाली है।
There have been some instances of young Hindu women coming forward in UP to say they were misled into marriages by Muslim men claiming to be Hindus.
राहुल सिंह बता रखा था, अब हमें भी नहीं पता, हमने सोचा हिंदू है, ये बताया नहीं था कि मुस्लिम है, मेरा नाम मुख्तार अहमद है, जैसे नहीं हमें बताई थी।
In fact, UP police probed 14 such complaints and found merit in 11 of misrepresentation, giving wrong name, and religion, alluring girls into marriage.
जो SIT की जांच में ये निकल करके आया है कि 11 प्रकरण ऐसे पाए गए जिसमें कहीं ना कहीं अपराध का होना पाया गया।
However, the so-called Love Jihad ordinance came in for severe criticism from Asaduddin Owaisi, who insists that it violates the constitution.
एक अडल्ट को इख्तियार है कि वो किस तरह से अपनी ज़िंदगी गुजारे, इसमें स्टेट कुछ भी नहीं कर सकता। मकसद एक ही है कि भारत के संविधान का ये लोग वायलेशन कर रहे हैं। दूसरा, पूरे देश में मुसलमानों के, मुस्लिम माइनॉरिटी के ताल्लुक से एक नफरत की फिजा को पैदा करो।
There are fears that the ordinance not only violates right to religion and privacy, but will also be misused to target Muslims, a charge that both the MP and UP government deny. Bureau Report, India Today.
So let's get straight into this issue. Let me invite into this conversation Aparajita Sarangi, Bharatiya Janata Party Member of Parliament. Saira Shah Halim is a social activist. Atikur Rahman is an Islamic scholar. Swati Goel Sharma is a journalist who's been covering several such cases of alleged love jihad and not just restricted to the state of Uttar Pradesh. And Vikram Singh is former Director General of the Uttar Pradesh Police, someone who's dealt with these complaints and can tell us about the truth on ground. But Aparajita Sarangi, if I may begin with you, ma'am, Asaduddin Owaisi says this is not just bad in law. This is not just unconstitutional. This is also a systematic plan to create a rift between Hindus and Muslims and to vilify Muslim men, ma'am.
A very good evening. At the outset, let me say that anybody in our country who opposes this law is against social welfare measures. We are trying to protect religious rights, and we know what's happening. I think all of us know what has been happening all around, including in the state of Madhya Pradesh. Now, let me make it very clear, and I want to say it very candidly, that this particular law is not against interfaith marriages or any other kind of marriage, so to say. It is an anti-conversion law. If a conversion takes place after marriage against the will of the person, I think this particular law will prohibit that. And it should not be against the will of the person, as I said. It actually prohibits conversion from one religion to the other through misrepresentation of facts, through fraudulence, through coercion, and through allurement. And I think we all should be welcoming this kind of law. And this is not something new in the country. This, as you have mentioned, in fact, this has been in the state of UP 1, number 2. In 1967, the government of Odisha, the state government of Odisha has actually brought this law because, you know, they had to prevent their tribals to get converted into Christians through the Christian missionaries. So I think it was long time back that it had been done. And right now, this particular law has been passed by states like Arunachal Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, and Jharkhand. So there's nothing
the law,
new. And I think
and
all
it's
of us,
the implementation of the law. But I'll come to the implementation aspect in just a moment, ma'am. Let me. Okay, Saira Shah Halim, you heard BJP MP Aparajita Sarangi say everyone should welcome this ordinance because it's not against interfaith marriage, it's not against love, it's only against misrepresentation of facts when love is an excuse to convert. And if I may, Saira Shah Halim, the administration in Uttar Pradesh says there is a pattern to what is now being termed as love jihad. 14 complaints in Kanpur were investigated. In 11 cases, Muslim boys gave Hindu names, wore a kalava in some instances, wore a tilak, went to the temple, befriended the girl, and then after marriage forced them to convert to Islam. In one such instance, the complainant herself says that there was pressure to spend time even with the Maulvi, and she survived by the skin of her teeth, ma'am.
So I would like to say one thing, that this bill, this ordinance actually intends to legislate against religious conversions through fraudulent means, because everybody knows that the pet project of the Bharatiya Janata Party is Muslim bashing. And I would like to iterate here once again that the term love jihad is a fictional concept which has been termed or coined by the Sangh Parivar to criminalize love marriages. And it's very unfortunate that this is an impeachment of personal life to liberty. It's an impeachment on your right to privacy. It is a total violation of a very important article of the Indian Constitution, which is Article 21. That means liberty, as your personal liberty as well as your right to life. And it's sad that in 21st century India, that there are being ordinances passed to criminalize love. Now tell me, doesn't criminality happen all across India? It's not only a few errant Muslim boys who are doing this. A lot of Hindu boys also are also cheating on women. And here we are talking about a jail term of 10 years, which is more than a rape. It is unfortunate that we are not even giving cognizance to grievous crimes against women like rape, murder, acid attacks. And here we are talking about cheating. So let me say the cheating happens.
Swati Goyal Sharma, this is criminalizing love. This may be cheating. There may be a few instances. Okay. Cheating happens across cross-section. Why is this law needed if it's not willful vilification of Muslim boys and men in India?
Yes, Gaurav. See, the law is needed because there have been many victims who have come to police stations, who have given complaints to the police that men cheated them by lying about their name, religion, and also their marital status. So there have been so many complaints that it kind of reached, the governments, and they brought in a law. I have always noticed that whoever argues against this law always comes up with the argument that there are a few cases, or Hindu men also cheat, or there is criminality all across. So let me ask you one thing: why do we need any identity-based laws at all? I mean, if men beat up their wives, then there are also cases of wives beating up their husbands. So should we scrap all identity-based laws? This law is needed because there is a very specific problem. There is also this problem of Muslim men preying on Hindu women is seen much larger than the reverse. When you reverse the identities. I would also like to say that this problem actually needs much more than a petty state law. This law is only a very tiny step towards acknowledging the problem and then hopefully tackling it. One thing is needed, which is needed is also the correction in differential personal laws, which is actually at the crux of this problem. Secondly, just one point, Child Commission and Dalit Commission have written to Home Ministry that there needs to be a central agency to check trafficking, interstate trafficking. There is no such agency, only states tackle it. That also needs to be tackled there.
So can I ask you, her something?
Before I get Saira Shah Halim to respond to very specific points that you've made. No, let me bring all our guests for the initial comments. Atikur Rahman, this is a very systematic problem at a wide scale, is what Swati Goyal and Aparajita Sarangi say. They've given several instances. For example, Fateh Khan wore a kalava, wore a tilak, went to temples, befriended a minor Hindu girl, and then was putting pressure on her to get married and then convert to Islam. Mukhtar Ahmed gave his name as Rahul Singh. And now, when this problem has actually gone beyond the stage, for example, in Faridabad, there was an instance where the girl refused to convert and she was shot dead. So this is a wider problem. We cannot bury our heads in sand like an ostrich. We need to wake up and face the problem, sir.
Gaurav, to both Swati and Aparajita, the fact of the matter is that they are having a prejudiced mind over here. The entire concept is a phantom concept created by the BJP. Herein you need to look, Gaurav, that who actually are the complainants. The Times Network, carried out a story wherein they pointed out that it is nothing but the food soldiers.
Sir, forget about what happens on other networks. No, Atikur Rahman, if the level of your research is a television channel, I'm very disappointed with your level of argument. Sir, please bring original research and then argue. This is India Today Television. No, this is India Today Television. You've named it. No. I'm a little disappointed if that is the level of your research when you come on a broadcast on India First.
A national daily, Gaurav.
Okay, fair enough. My only point is, sir, please bring original research, sir, when you come here, because I'm going to give you instances of the girls themselves being complainants, of their parents being complainants. I'm going to give you instances where this Madhya Pradesh ordinance says the complainant can only be either parents or siblings. So, sir, let's argue facts and let's argue on merit. And let me bring in Vikram Singh. Vikram Singh, you've been Director General of the Uttar Pradesh Police, sir. Sir, you've been Director General of the Uttar Pradesh Police. Let me get Mr. Vikram Singh to bring his initial comments, sir. Sir, as DGP of UP...
You cannot eliminate me.
No, of course you have a right to be on the debate, but you have a right to be on the debate with facts. I'm not eliminating you. Sir, is love jihad a figment of someone's imagination, an attempt to vilify Muslims of India, or is that a real problem which poses clear and present danger in your view as former DGP of UP?
Mr. Gaurav Sawant, what I'll tell you from hands-on experience, it is not prudent to dismiss this problem and sweep it underneath the carpet. It is not a problem restricted to India. All the esteemed panelists have made very valid points. Go to Wikipedia, you'll find grooming of British girls, where 1,600 British girls were groomed by the similar gangs as they seem to be operating. The grooming of Swedish girls. And this law is not against any religion. This is religion neutral. And again, why should we brand any... If a Hindu boss tries to ensnare a Muslim woman or a Christian woman, even he would be as much liable. I see no reason to defend a person, whatever be his caste or community, irrespective of his religion. If he predates on any woman, he has every reason to be sent to jail, and much drastic a punishment than even for rape. Because rape, agreed, is a very, very serious offense, but this is no less. I would not like to quantify. But the fact of the matter is that it is a problem, and there is no point in ignoring it, and there is no point in standing. We should stand by the fact that any person who uses coercion, deceit, fraud, and offering money or any other things for matrimony, then he is liable for the most drastic of action. Okay. It is indeed a wake-up call, and it is not for the first time. There is no smoke without fire. But I would much rather that there is a proper documentation of all the alleged love jihad cases, as you mentioned 3 or 4. Ms. Aparajita has mentioned a few. But again, there have also been cases of boys from Hindu community also impersonating. But their percentage may be less or more. I don't say it. I would not like to quantify any community. But the fact of the matter is that it is a problem, a major problem, and instead of branding and accused as a Hindu or Muslim, and accused as an accused, and let him face the music for whatever he has done. If he has transgressed the rule of law, he should absolutely be punished and penalized. I strongly recommend...
Saira Shahalim, why brand this? Okay, Saira Shahalim, why brand this as anti-Muslim? If it's a law, let law take its own course against whoever the accused may be, ma'am.
No, I have nothing against that. But when the ministers of BJP use coinages like love jihad, it is very clear where they're insinuating. You call it anti-conversion bill, you call it anti-bullying bill, bullying against women or whatever it is. But when you are using a particular term and say, no, we are not against Muslims, it is specifically target Muslims. You look at the dubious arrests and detentions since this ordinance has been passed, and tell me, why do you pass an ordinance when the assembly is not in session? What is the national calamity? Are all Muslim boys out there? Do they have a specific agenda to lure Hindu girls and convert them? They are sending out a very, very negative, very venomous propaganda, and it happened during the Nuremberg law. The Germans were doing the same thing to Jews.
Okay, so Aparajita Sarangi, this is, 2 points. If I may raise the point of Pinky, an adult Hindu girl, marrying a Muslim boy, both doing it out of their own free will and choice. And in this case, it's said that the Bajrang Dal put pressure on the woman and the man. The man was sent to jail. The woman was sent to a Nari Niketan, where she apparently aborted and lost her child, ma'am. So this is where the law may be good, as you say, but its implementation leaves much to be desired, Aparajita Sarangi.
Absolutely. I fully agree with what has been said by Mr. Vikram Singh ji. See, this particular law is religion neutral. Now, I fail to understand, whenever Bharatiya Janata Party brings about a social welfare measure, our Muslim brothers and sisters start feeling jittery. The third law of motion of Isaac Newton: to every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. To every positive action of BJP, there is an equal and opposite negative reaction by our Muslim brothers and sisters. I fail to understand this. See, this is a social welfare measure to my mind, and I think I say with all conviction at my command that this is a social welfare measure. We want to protect the religious rights of girls. Now, this is one part. Let me give you an example. You talked about Pinky. I'll just change the name. Just listen to me for 30 seconds. Now, I think most of us have not understood this particular law which has been cleared by the Madhya Pradesh State Cabinet. Now, suppose there is a girl called Gauri and there is a boy called Shahrukh. Now, Gauri marries Shahrukh on the banks of Prayagraj. There is absolutely no problem if Gauri knows that the boy is Shahrukh and the boy has not impersonated as Raj Malhotra. Right? If she marries Shahrukh, there is absolutely no problem. The law will not actually be enforced against Gauri or Shahrukh. Now, number two, after marriage, if Gauri becomes Gulnaz out of her own sweet free will, there is absolutely no problem. This law will actually not create any kind of hurdle in the path of Gauri. So the point is that we have to understand if the conversion after marriage is out of sweet free will, there is absolutely no problem. Otherwise, there has to be stringent.
The point is, in a democracy, in a democracy, fair enough. You're talking about two consenting adults wanting to marry irrespective of their religion. That point is taken. But the point, Swati Sharma Goyal here, Swati, the point here is, why should two consenting adults in India have to take the permission of the district magistrate if they are from two different religions to get married? How does state get involved in a choice that two consenting adults exercise in India? And that is where the illegality creeps in.
Yes, Gaurav. You know, a lot of people who criticize the law say that state has no business. If a woman consents to living with a man, then the state has no business. Of course, it has no business. And it's like it's like saying rape should be banned. It's already banned. See, the thing is, people don't understand the procedure. Let me take the Muradabad case, and please give me 30 seconds. I'll explain what the misrepresentation of this case is in the media. A mother gave a complaint to the police that her daughter has been kidnapped by a man, possibly because she is eloped. She is missing from the house. So the police, of course, will act on the complaint. And they went to they detained the guy and the girl. They sent her to Nari Niketan and sent the boy to jail. See, the thing is, the police should have recorded her statement, 164 statement, the next day or within, 2-3 days at most. But they didn't do it for 10 days, which is why the woman kept staying in the Nari Niketan and the man was in jail. If they had done the procedure, if they have done their duty in time, then this miscarriage also wouldn't have happened. So what is clearly a failure of the police, in doing its duty in time, is being represented as a failure of the law, which it isn't. I'll tell you something. Recently, 65 girls, minor girls, who were rescued from trafficking, they went to Jharkhand. Okay, so they were staying in an Nari Niketan in Delhi for 2 years. And you know why? Because then police didn't record their statement, 164 statement for 2 years. And it was a very petty thing because they didn't get a translator to translate their language, Santhali, in Jharkhand to Hindi. So what I mean to say is, over these procedural lapses, you can't blame an entire law. You can't say that the law is bad. Like, a law is only as good as its implementation. So there needs to be
before I bring in Mr. Vikram Singh, fair enough. Saira Shah Halim, this is where the law is meant to protect the weakest. And why are we saying, weakest, as I was speaking to some of the police officers, they say that they are investigating these cases and they see a pattern. They see a pattern where youngsters, they wear a kalava, they wear a tilak, they befriend these girls, and then they force them to convert to Islam. And then they force them to get married. If this is illegal, if this is wrong, why shouldn't there be a law to protect these girls from such elements? And it's not 1, 2, 3 or 4. There are multiple instances. If I may draw your attention, let me draw your attention to FIR number 454 of 2020 of PS Partapur in Meerut, where Shamshad befriended a Hindu girl pretending to be Amit Gurjar. And when the two fell out, he not only murdered her, he dug a hole in his bedroom and buried her body there, cemented it, and started living there as if nothing had happened.
Okay, so I would like to shoot...
Are these too few and far between these cases, or is there a pattern that we choose not to see?
Okay, so I'd like to ask the BJP spokesperson, can you please show me statistics about crimes against women? And I'm not talking about crimes of Muslim men against women. I'm talking about crimes against women in general, starting from rapes to honor killings to acid attack and dowry. Okay, so a lot of people from wealthy communities also engage in dowry, by the way, and they actually give in to that demand. There is no ordinance being passed. There people are still practicing dowry. Why is that not a national calamity that today girls are being killed, you know, for honor, to save their honor?
Dowry.
So no, so look at the BJP's priority. For example, look at here, when you know they're using the pandemic to communalize issues and to deflect the attention from the court. Right now, the farmers are protesting against the farm bills. And here the Bharatiya Janata Party, in whichever state they're in power, are trying to communalize a pandemic by using the excuse that the assembly is not in session and to pass draconian ordinances just to vilify a community.
Okay.
It's very sad. So let them come up, let them bring out the statistics in public about how many Muslim men are going about doing that, and is that their daily chore?
Aparajita Sarangi, respond.
Let them put it out in the public domain. Let them just not imagine.
Very grave charge. Saira Shah Halim says you're bringing out a love jihad law in Uttar Pradesh and in Madhya Pradesh to divert attention from farm protests, ma'am. And when Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister says Ram Naam Satya hai ki yatra shuru ho jayegi, that's actually a threat that's being dished out, ma'am.
The central government and the Bharatiya Janata Party are multitasking in their approach. And we can do many things together, many positive things together. You know, that is why the farmers' issue is being handled so very well. Tomorrow is the discussion, and we will be getting into the 7th round of talks. We are very much in line with the Kisan Sangatans, and there is absolutely no reason why this particular thing will not be resolved. And every day Prime Minister Modi has been launching one scheme, one welfare scheme after the other for the farmers. Now this is one part. I'm sure this will be taken care of. We are with the farmers and we stand by the farmers and we are in constant touch with the farmers. But at the same time, there are other issues in the country. This is a country of 130 crore people, and there are hundreds of and thousands of problems. So we cannot just focus on one problem at a time, and we just cannot, we cannot ignore other issues. So this particular issue, as has been rightly pointed out by my esteemed panelist, Sri Vikram Singh, in fact, he has been the Director General of Police. In fact, I will just request the esteemed panelist, the one who was speaking right now, to be conversant with the ground realities. Hundreds and thousands of forced conversions are taking place. And as I told you, I will reiterate, this is a social welfare measure. This is completely in consonance with articles.
Forced conversions are taking place. The question Saira Shah Halim asks is, are these documented, or is this an attempt to vilify Muslims of India? And Mr. Vikram Singh, if I may, Prajita Sarangi
so
said...
let me remind this lady from the Bharatiya Janata Party, you must have heard about the Hadia case, okay? And in 2018, the Supreme Court had quashed such aspersions, ugly aspersions, and restored the marriage back, and this was again a vilification attempt. Everybody knows about the Hadia case. It is out there in the public domain. And here the family was alleging that she was a victim of indoctrination and psychological kidnapping. Again, the political party that, the past speaker belongs to, somehow their pet project is minority bashing. They don't look beyond Hindu-Muslim. Because 24/7, they're looking at ways, they're looking at ways to demonize the community instead of focusing on policies.
Is this Muslim bashing? Is this Muslim bashing? No, but because Saira, if I may, Vikram Singh raised an issue. There is no Bharatiya Janata Party in the United Kingdom, but grooming gangs are a major issue in the United Kingdom. Is there a similar pattern? And that's the point.
That is indoctrination. I agree. That is indoctrination. And I've spoken about extremism on all sides of the fence.
But that indoctrination is a cause for grave concern.
It is a cause of very grave concern.
Mr. Vikram Singh, I also want to draw your attention to to section, to FIR number 154/2020. This is PS Mundali again in Meerut, where if I remember correctly, you were Deputy Inspector General of Police in the 1990s, and I was a crime reporter. Sir, there was a case of Wasim, son of Momin, who befriended and exploited the victim by claiming to be Dinesh Rawat. And if this is a pattern, if there are cases like this in Meerut, in Bulandshahr, in Muradabad, in Kanpur, in Lucknow, in other parts of the country, then should the National Crime Record Bureau not have drawn statistics, given out its findings? And the allegation that Saira Shah Halim and Asaduddin Owaisi also level is that these may be a few cases, there may be a few men. This is just being used by the BJP to target Muslims and to create a divide between Hindus and Muslims in India.
May I submit, Mr. Sawant, that these are maybe cases, but yes, indeed, you have pointed out to a very major infirmity in the procedures, that we have not faithfully documented all the cases, and we have not come out with elaborate documentation as the British police has done. Their photographs, the modus operandi, the money spent, their backing, and also how the indoctrination happened and how they predated upon the unsuspecting British and Swedish girls. Likewise, we need to have a similar documentation and put them on the website that these were the boys and these were the people, irrespective whether they're Hindu boys or Muslim boys or Christian boys, but they need to be named, and the modus operandi and the funding needs to be exposed. As also the fact that I would again reiterate that if there is a problem, it is better to identify it. You may recall that when there was terrorism, again, there was a huge outcry that we are targeting, and I have been at the receiving end myself, that we are targeting boys and men of a particular community. Certainly not. We are not mercenaries. We are paid. We have a conscience. And if there is anything that is illegal or immoral on my part, it will be questioned in the court of law, and I can be taken to task, I can be sent to jail. We have a vibrant judicial system. But there is a tendency amongst many of our social activists, our workers, that they try to blame the police and the law enforcement agencies, that you are trying to be one-sided and nailing the minorities. Far from that. There may be deviants, there may be infirmities once in a while, but by and large, 99%, the police and the law enforcement are dot on mark and dot on track.
Okay, so can I,
Swati,
reply to that?
Activists say that this law, this Love Jihad law, yes, ma'am, can I quickly get Swati into this conversation once again? Because Swati, this is being seen as a patriarchal law. Why should men decide or people decide if a girl has made if she's an adult, if she's made a mistake, it's her life. Why should men decide that what is right for her or what is wrong for her? Respond to that criticism, ma'am.
See, Gaurav, it's, as per the law, if the woman says that she wants to live with a man, even if the parents say that she's been kidnapped for whatever purposes, the law is totally, it totally favors the woman, and it allows the woman to stay with whoever she wants to. So this is not patriarchal, this is how it is. In fact, it really favors the woman. I would also like to say that, they keep bringing Hadia case here. There are so many men who are acquitted of rape. So would you cite that case to say that rape doesn't exist? It's almost like that. See, you all played a video some time back, and I have documented so many cases. Let's say, this girl, this 14-year-old girl was recently kidnapped from West Bengal, and she was taken to Gujarat, and then she was rescued by a team from Gujarat and Bengal, and also a team of National Child Commission. And they rescued her, and when they talked to her, she said that this guy, first of all, he hid the fact that he was already married, and then he made me read namaz and Quran every day. So such sort of targeting is happening, and people who criticize this law keep bringing up this one case of Hadia, and they keep ignoring all these cases have happened. So please, please acknowledge the victims. Please, these are not ghosts. These FIRs, they're very much there.
So let me remind you once again that recently in the Allahabad High Court, they've reunited an interfaith couple, saying that women can live life on our own terms. And let me also remind you that when the BJP government passed this anti-conversion to law, which the outliers of the BJP are terming as love jihad, okay, they better not call it love jihad, call it an anti-conversion law. if you do believe that this is not community specific, because the UP prohibition or unlawful conversion of religion ordinance 220, it came into effect like on November 28th. The records show that the UP police had registered 14 cases and made 51 arrests, of whom 49 are in jail. And out of these 14 cases, 13 involved Hindu women who were allegedly pressurized to convert to Islam. And only in the 2 cases is the complainant the woman concerned herself.
Okay.
The rest of the complainants
I can come in here and explain why this is so.
And in 2 of them, Hindu right-wing activists intervene, holding protests at the police station. So please keep that into account. And in all the cases but one, the women involved is an adult. In 8 of the cases, the couple were said to be either friends or they were said to be in a previous relationship. And in one couple, only one couple claimed to be married. So these cases basically are community specific. They're targeting either you don't call it love jihad, call it anti-conversion law, then we can understand. But when you make it into a communal thing,
okay, so you are saying this is community specific. Swati wants to respond to you. Go ahead, Swati.
Yes. See, Gaurav, people don't understand that because I have covered, almost 20 such cases. See, what happens is in interfaith relationships involving Muslim men and Hindu women, I've always noticed that the men never go to the family, the woman's family, and talk to her father or her mother. They simply elope. So obviously, the parents will file a complaint that the woman has been kidnapped. Are they not supposed to file a complaint? Should they just ignore that their daughter has gone missing?
Even if they have marriage.
Yes, exactly, adult. So it's not like your 21-year-old daughter has gone missing, and you will say, okay, she must have gone somewhere and I will file a complaint.
You call a girl kidnapped, a 30-year-old girl is being kidnapped, a 27-year-old girl is being kidnapped.
But if she's gone missing,
if she voluntarily
it's a parent's duty. It's not even a moral duty. It's also very.
You call it kidnapping. In 21st century,
okay, so 30-year-old women don't get kidnapped. A 23-year-old,
right?
Listen.
And you give ample time for
23-year-old Priyanka Reddy was kidnapped. No. See, don't put words in my mouth. Let me tell you something. 23-year-old vet doctor, 23-year-old doctor Priyanka Reddy, when she went missing, and her parents went to the police station. The police said, "Oh, she must have eloped." They didn't make any attempt to find her, and then the next morning she was found totally burnt under a flyover. So our parents not our
one by one.
See what I mean?
So
okay. Parents are supposed to file a missing person
that point
complaint,
is taken.
even if the
That
woman
point is taken. I've run out of time on this show. That point is taken. Oh, absolutely. That point is taken entirely. But should the government handle these cases, and especially the police, more sensitively? And Aparajita Sarangi, since you've also been in the government, in your earlier avatar, the point is, why should 2 consenting adults have to go to the district magistrate if they're from different religions and take permission to get married? That's the point that lawyers say is completely illegal and unconstitutional and should and will be struck down, ma'am.
Thanks for giving me this opportunity. In fact, 2 things I would like to mention here. Number 1, I have been part of the bureaucracy, as you mentioned, and now I'm in politics. I'm a parliamentarian. Now, any policy or law, when drafted, is always backed by ground realities, It is always necessitated by the ground realities. Let me put it that way. Unless and until there are forced conversions or situations are not in favor of innocent girls, this particular law would not have come. Tremendous homework is done before a particular bill is brought to the assembly or to the floor of the parliament. So this is happening, and no panelist, I will be mentioning Owaisi ji or Saira ji here, nobody can say that forced conversions are not taking place. Forced conversions are taking place. Now, a very important thing that was mentioned earlier while we were debating this matter was the issue of implementation. You see, we have plethora of laws, schemes, regulations, and frameworks, but then it all boils down to good implementation. Now, why this has been done, the other part which you mentioned right now, they have to go to the district magistrate if they want to get converted. Now, let me tell you, these are precautionary measures. And as part of precautionary measures, this has to be done.
Okay.
And we cannot leave things to the adults. You
so
know,
this ordinance, of course, has been challenged. The Uttar Pradesh ordinance has been challenged in the Allahabad High Court. Let's wait to see what the court says, but we'll be tracking that story very closely. To all my guests, many thanks for joining me. I need to slip into a quick break here. Okay,